Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Ride on Crime podcast. My name is Maggie Horzempa. I am the North Carolina director, and today I'm joined by my two colleagues, Danny Murphy and Christian Cochran. Danny and Christian, would you introduce yourselves?
Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, so I'm Christian. I'm a Florida State Director, Army veteran, and so I'm excited to sit here and talk to you.
Maggie, nice to see you. I'm Danny Murphy. I'm the State Director for both Virginia and West Virginia. I'm a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, a former judge advocate, a career prosecutor, and I currently serve as an attorney in private practice as well.
Wonderful. So today we're going to talk a little bit about veterans treatment courts. And with you both being veterans, I'd like to take this moment and thank you both for your service to this country.
Thank you.
It is because of the brave that we are the home of the free. So, Danny, you cover West Virginia
I do.
and Virginia.
I do.
Christian, you cover Florida.
We do.
What do veterans treatment courts look like in your states?
Go ahead.
So in both West Virginia and Virginia, so veterans treatment courts, first of all, I'll just describe for the listeners, are generally a specialty docket within our court systems. They're not mandated at all. They are similar to other specialty dockets like our family or juvenile docket. There are certain requirements for people to be eligible to go to be pulled into the veterans treatment courts, and there are certain offenses that make somebody eligible for that. So typically speaking, we're looking at folks who are involved in substance abuse matters and relatively minor criminal activity. Veterans treatment courts in Virginia and West Virginia are not appropriate for violent crimes. That's typically not where we're sending defendants. But they are, if a veteran is eligible to enter into the Veterans Treatment Court, the court is set up to essentially pull together a variety of services that are recognized as being appropriate to address the underlying criminal activity. So the Veterans Treatment Courts recognize that by and large, individuals, veterans afflicted with substance use disorder have arrived there due to certain circumstances within their life that contribute to that addiction. And so they bring in a variety of services in to try to rehabilitate the offender.
Absolutely. And I know in North Carolina, the veteran must comply with being a part of the treatment court program. What about you, Christian? What have you seen?
The same. And, it's amazing. You're talking about connecting them with a service. It is connecting them back with their earned benefits, getting them enrolled in the VA. A lot of veterans might not even be enrolled to begin with. So if we can get them involved with it and kind of go from there, it's a good pathway. And then the peer mentorship we have with trying to get the veteran held accountable, but at the same time having a fellow veteran that's going to help hold them accountable and help kind of be their guidepost for moving through the criminal justice system, which is really, I think that kind of goes back to the military service of how we are. We always want to help one another, and we're a part of that, and so it is that unity of purpose that helps us move forward.
Absolutely.
Maggie, let me add something. You actually said so in North Carolina there's a compliance obligation with the program, right? The Veterans Treatment Courts in Virginia and West Virginia are not compulsory. They're not mandatory. They're actually voluntary. So essentially, the individual, the charged individual, the veteran, has to agree to enter into the program. And so you've got a program that's set up and premised upon a willingness or a desire by the veteran to go through the program. And so it's a little bit different than our typical justice system.
Absolutely. And I think that aspect is so important, that the veteran is willing to go through this program themselves and voluntarily. And I know the definition of what constitutes an individual to be eligible to participate in veterans treatment courts differs from state to state. Christian, Danny, can you comment on that at all?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the definition is in other states, but it's a fairly wide open definition. Current veterans, active duty service members or reserve service members, and veterans of foreign wars, veterans of prior wars and prior engagements are typically eligible in our programs.
Yeah. So Florida, we have 33 veterans treatment courts out of our 67 counties, so we have a really big system. We also have 1.4 million veterans that live in the state of Florida. A lot of people come to retire. We have 21 military installations, so there's a lot of military-heavy presence down there.
Absolutely.
I think between the three of us, actually, between Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia, we have three of the top, 5 or 6 veteran populations. Of course, Texas being another as well.
Oh, huge, yeah. I think Texas number 2 and California California is still number one. So that is huge impact. So, Florida, we've done a little bit of the changes throughout the years on how, for eligibility standard. And so there's going to be some more changes coming down the pathway. So I'm really excited to see what's going to kind of play out this session.
Absolutely. And let's get into a little bit a talk about the consistency of veterans treatment courts. I know programs can differ. The definition of what a veteran is and who is eligible for these treatment courts can differ. Why is consistency and finding consistency in these courts so important?
Yeah, what I would say is I agree with it that it is important, but in reality, in particular in Virginia, I would say that there is not a lot of consistency. So the veterans treatment courts, similar to, as Christian said, in Florida, they're run by the counties, okay? And they're programs that are largely developed between the Commonwealth's attorney. In Virginia, we're a Commonwealth, so the prosecuting attorneys are Commonwealth's attorneys. And they're judiciary and the community services that are built into that particular county. And so there really is not a lot of consistency, unfortunately. And so in pockets of Virginia, on the coast where there's a large naval population, you're going to have very robust veterans treatment courts, but there are certain areas within Virginia where there really just isn't. It's lacking. So I think that's an area for improvement in Virginia. Absolutely.
Christian?
Yeah, it is really hard, especially like in the rural, counties that, have a smaller veterans population, but they still have veterans. And so their participation is a lot harder. I mean, because you want to have these programs, for all veterans, but it's very hard in a lot of cases. So I think there's going to be some changes that we're going to see where there's going to be specialty dockets or something like that where judges could have the ability to accept veterans and take them to an individualized program. So that's something I'm hoping that we're going to see moving forward. And I've seen that come through some policy recommendations from other groups. So hopefully we can see that pass from there.
Maggie, how does your program in North Carolina differ? Is it similar to what we've described in Virginia and West Virginia, or does it differ?
Very similar. So right now in North Carolina, we're working towards about 9 or 10 right now, active veterans treatment courts. And of course, they're a little bit more condensed into those areas where we have military installations. Right. I believe North Carolina has 12 military installations throughout the state. So I really like what you said about specialty courts. Some states have specialty courts for substance abuse, mental health,
sure,
juvenile justice even.
Yep.
Why are specialty courts so important for veterans?
I would submit that specialty courts entirely, all of them, are designed more towards the rehabilitation of that individual, of that particular population, as opposed to the retribution, the punishment side of our typical criminal justice system.
Agreed.
And so for any number of reasons, we recognize in juveniles, for example, there may be a reason or there may be a lack of maturity or whatnot that leads to the criminal behavior or to the delinquent behavior. And instead of immediately sending that person off to a term of incarceration or to jail that will forever change the direction of that person's life, we try to rehabilitate that person. We try to give them the skills to recover from their troubles. And I think the Veterans Court fits that same bill.
Absolutely. Christian?
Yeah, and here's the thing, like you said, they've raised their right hand and they've served this country. Yeah. And so there is ways that we understand that their service may have impacted their lives moving forward, and sometimes in a negative way. And so these courts really kind of seek to address that and provide them with a path forward so that they're not involved again in the criminal justice system. We could get them within the wraparound services and get them connected with their earned benefits. They can find that path forward, and the mentorship between the fellow veterans. I think you'll find that once a veteran is involved with another veteran. I mean, it's the same way with us. When we're all together, there is that camaraderie that happens and that bond. I mean, because you and I know exactly what going through the military is like, and there's very few people that understand the exact same processes and things that we run into. So for veterans, it's interesting that no matter who you are or where you are, if you see a veteran with a hat on, you can always find something to talk about with them. It's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both again for your service. Well, thank you all for joining the Right on Crime podcast. To learn more, go to www.rightoncrime.com. Danny and Christian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Maggie.